Alright, welcome back to what's going to be part 3 of my Saturday outing. I walked 2.5 miles. That's, for me, that's pretty far. Typical walk that I've been doing this year has been about 1.5 miles to 2 miles, which in itself was pretty good at the start of the year. I was struggling to do a mile. It's just all about getting out regularly. Like any kind of exercise, the more you do it, the better you get. I'm definitely feeling it. I got to tell you, that last half mile, and I was thinking, why did I go so far out? But this is absolutely one of my favorite parts of the D&L Trail, and it's just such a beautiful day. I just really wanted to enjoy every second of it. And if you watched my video that came before this of the of the walk, you'll see that it actually got pretty cloudy around the point that I turned around. It was getting cloudy, breezier, cooler. I was surprised to see that because it's a day that was forecast to be dry, but Blue Mountain does that. It tends to divide the weather. The weather here flows usually west to east, southwest to northeast. Blue Mountain runs generally west to east. It kind of has that southeast to northeast curve to it, or slant, or whatever you want to say, but it's mostly straight west-east. And it's not uncommon to get one kind of weather on one side of the mountain and a different kind of weather on the other side. It's generally cooler north of the mountain. Sometimes they'll get snow, and we'll just get rain south of here. Anyway, I'm going to take just a little bit of a drive through here, this loop. This is Lehigh Gap Nature Center. Very rough road here, don't mind my voice. There's more here than just the D&L Trail. I know they do all kind of nature education programs. Most, I think, are aimed at school trips, but I think they have some that are open to the general public. There's also a lot of hiking trails. You probably saw that in my prior video too, that go up. This is Blue Mountain here. Lehigh Gap is basically where the Lehigh River has cut through Blue Mountain over the millennia. And I would like to eventually be able to hike these trails. This kind of was one of my other motivations coming out here today, is I wanted to kind of get a look at them, and they are pretty steep. I kind of have issues right now with hills and climbs and descents. You can see one of the trails just up ahead. If you go through that fence where they're walking the dog, that starts to go up. There's also the Winter Trail, which runs on that ridge above 248 across the Lehigh River. That one looks flatter, parallels 248. That one I'm probably going to try first. If you remember my videos from last fall, I made a trip out to Cabela's, and I did a video of the aquarium and some stuff. That was actually what prompted that trip out to Cabela's. I wanted to buy a decent pair of hiking boots. My old pair had just given out over the years. That pair was probably 20 years old. I'd really like to start doing more than just these flat trails like the D&L, just because there's some beautiful views. Walking the D&L Trail that I did today through Lehigh Gap, that's actually the first time I ever walked it, by the way, in this part. I enjoyed it very much, but I kept wanting to be higher up. I mean, I didn't really get a whole lot of good views of the river, just, what you could see through the trees. And I think if you got up on some of these trails, even the ones that stay relatively low on the mountain, I think there'd just be some spectacular views, and that's something I really like. This bridge here, you saw it when I parked, and we passed under it when I left. Now we're going back through it again. We made a full loop. I'm heading south now. This is Route 873 in the Slatington area. But if you were hiking the Appalachian Trail, which runs along the ridge of Blue Mountain, you would have to cross the Lehigh River using that bridge. So that bridge is actually part of the Appalachian Trail. That's something I'm probably not going to endeavor to do, but there's a lot of things I'm doing now that I said I would never do, so as they say never. This trail was, as you can guess from the parking lot, this trail was definitely crowded today. And this is always, don't get me wrong, in normal times this is a very popular spot. I mean, the D&L Trail in its entirety is popular. I've biked through here before. This was the first time I ever parked here, the first time I've walked it, but I've biked through here really only a couple of times. And it's always been pretty well used in this area, but today is by far the most crowded I have ever seen it. I mean, just hands down. I mean, there's not a lot else people can do, you know. They're not allowed to have large gatherings. Sporting events are canceled. You can't go to the movies. You know, it's weird for me. You know, I miss some of the sports, but, you know, I tend to stick closer to home most of the times anyway. I mean, honestly, coming out to the trail for a walk or a ride is kind of what I'd be doing on a nice day anyway. I'd either be doing that, I'd be working around the yard, maybe taking a drive. You know, for me, it's kind of weird. I mean, life has changed some, but not as radically as it has for a lot of people. And, hold on. This is a tricky place to pull out of here. You know, and I definitely, I have sympathy for the people, you know, particularly the people with kids. This has got to just be, I can't imagine how hard this has got to be if you're a kid. You know, for people who are social butterflies and people who are out on the town all the time and stuff like that, I really feel for you, because this has just got to be such a radical change. And whether it's changed your day-to-day life or not, I know we're all just, you know, we're all just dealing with the stress of it. I mean, I think what's starting to grow on me, you know, at the start of this, I wasn't taking it too badly. I'm like, okay, I'm healthy, I'm safe at home. This is going to be 2-3 weeks out of my life, maybe a month. And then I kind of just thought, well, we'll more or less, you know, get back to doing what we do. And here it is, we're going on 2 months of this, and there really isn't an end in sight. And I can't think of the name of that car, those two little Hondas up on the right side. I'm going to have to look it up. That's another kind of car that's really rare in this country. I'll stick to the topic. I get excited when I see cars that are different and unusual. There's an airport off to our left. I don't think you're really going to see anything from the drive cam. It's just where the little private planes come in and out, the little Cessnas and stuff. Generally, on a nice day, you'd see them flying around. I don't even know if that airport's open. I did see one, I think it was a cargo jet when I was out on the trail. It was kind of distant, but I may or may not edit that into the video, depending how it turned out. Air traffic is way, way, way down. I mean, we've still got our cargo flights in and out of LVI. We don't have a lot of passenger flights, not that anybody does. It's probably not going to be seeing too many airplane videos from me. Plus, I just haven't really been heading down in that direction. There really hasn't been a reason to. So, we're pulling into the little town of Slatington here. If I'm going to go a different way home, I'm feeling, I'm still having a pretty big case of wanderlust. If I turn left, which I'm not going to do, this is Main Street, just off to the left, yeah, and I'm glad I didn't do this originally, there's a trailhead. Usually when I come up to the D&L in this area, I like to park at the Slatington trailhead. They've got a nice covered picnic patio, they've got a nice set of restrooms there. I pretty much heard that restroom facilities at any parks and stuff like that are closed. But I was just glancing to the left there. That lot's full. And I had a feeling it would be, and that's actually part of why I had a lot of reasons for going up to Lehigh Gap today, but that was one of them, is I just didn't think there would be any parking at Slatington. And this is the town of Slatington here. This bridge, we're crossing another trail called the Slate Heritage Trail. That's a little spur. I think it's about 3-4 miles. It's a little spur off of the D&L Trail. I've ridden it a couple of times. It can be a little hilly, a little challenging. I mean, I can do it, but I want to be a little more fit before I try that again. You know, it's not that I can't walk the bike up the hills, but I just prefer to be able to ride it. I mean, who doesn't? From here, once we get through this traffic light here, I've been through, oh, now we're going to stop. I've been through this part of town before, but I've always turned right. If I turn right on Church Street here, it's a little ways to go, but I have a friend lives off in that direction. So I've only ever been through this part of town before for the purpose of going to her house. The way I'm going to drive home, it's all going to be new. You guys haven't seen it before probably, and I haven't seen it before. I know I haven't seen it before. This is a small town. I'm sure we'll be out of this town in a couple of blocks. I'm going to stay on 873, even though it's called Main Street through town. This is still 873. And I'm going to take it till it reconnects with 329, which goes, of course, back to Northampton. That's what crosses that long truss bridge that, you know, I love so much. Sorry, losing my thought here. I just want to see something new. I'm just getting that sort of itch to explore, and, you know, obviously all of my spring plans to go chase trains and go out to Western PA for some weekend trips, that's not going to happen now. Not this year, it'll happen someday. But, you know, it also highlights, for as long as I've lived in this area, there's just so much I haven't seen, so much I haven't done, and, hey, you know, what better time to do it? It's, you know, it's hard when you work all the time. It doesn't give you a lot of chance to get out of the routine, so, you know, I'm off today, and I guess that's where I'm going to pick things back up. I mentioned in the prior video, I've now worked from home for 7 weeks. Personally, I love working from home. I am made to work from home. It's just, I'm so much more focused. I'm so much more comfortable. You don't have to deal with all the petty bickering and office politics and nonsense that goes on. You don't have the constant interruptions. It's just, you know, it's just nice. You can actually get something done every day. You can actually feel like you're focused and concentrated. Now, I know that's not true for a lot of people. People are very divided over whether they like it or not. But it's worked very well for me. And according to the Pennsylvania reopening plans, I'm not going to be allowed to go back to work until they declare this region green. And we're a far cry from that. Like I said, we're the hottest part of the state right now with COVID-19 cases per capita. And even when that starts to go down and when they shift this region to what they call yellow, you know, we'll have more freedoms back, but they still say they're going to require remote work when it's feasible. Well, it's definitely feasible. I've been doing it for 7 weeks, and I've been getting more done than I ever got done in the office. Here's the catch. I don't want to get too into this, but more or less we got an email about a week and a half ago from our CEO. He is just chomping at the bit to get everybody back in the office. And he told us in the email we need to be back in the office Monday, May 11th. That's only a week from next Monday. Now, in all fairness, he sent that email out before the governor laid out the reopening plans. However, our company's not real good with communication, and there's been no follow-up saying, look, okay, you know, we had hoped to have you back, but, you know, here's what the governor said, you know, we'll stay home, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of surprised about that, because the company is generally, they're very good about being by the book and following the rules and all that. But in the absence of communication, the assumption is, well, they're expecting us to be back on May 11th. And I gotta tell you, I'm not cool with that. You know, I have what I consider several risk factors that if I catch this coronavirus, you know, it might not turn out so good for me. I mean, everybody has risk factors regardless of age. I'm, you know, solidly middle-aged, but, you know, there's some other factors that give me concern. I don't want to elaborate on those, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm following what the governor says, not what the CEO says at this point. My health means more to me than that job. I mean, yes, I'm very dependent on that job for a paycheck right now. I'm entirely dependent on it, but to be honest with you, you guys know I'm looking for work. That job is not worth risking my health and risking my life for. So this is kind of a to be continued thing. I'm really hoping that the company just finally puts out an email and says, look, you know, we're going to follow the governor's rules. You're going to keep working from home, blah, blah, blah. But that hasn't happened yet, and I'll keep you guys in the loop, let you know if it does. But that's been a source of stress for me. Yeah, I just don't like the uncertainty. I don't like the idea that I may have to make a decision between my job and my health. Because that's really scary, because let's face it, finding a new job right now is not going to be the easiest thing. That said, there is some good news. Actually, there's some excellent news. My little side business, which is, you know, I haven't been doing so great with it these last couple months. I've just had some scraps of projects here and there, and it's really fizzled out. The good news is I just landed a pretty sizable side project. And I'm not going to go into details about what it is, but it's actually, I believe, being driven by the pandemic and by some of the rapid changes that are needed in the retail environment. I'm not going to be working in a store, don't worry about that. I'll be doing this from home as well. But, you know, I have some design experience with store layout, and something came along that really taps into those skills, and I'm going to be starting that next week, so I'm pretty psyched about that. You know, it's not going to be enough to enable me to quit my job. And, you know, it's a client I've worked for before. The thing is, they'll pay me, but I'm going to wait. You know, they're real quick to give you the work. They're a little bit slow on the payment side, but unfortunately that is fairly common. There's just not really a way around that. This is a ridiculous intersection. Anyway, we're on 329 now. That actually came up a little quicker than I thought. I have been through that intersection before, but coming from the other direction, it's kind of a crazy thing. Like, 4 roads come together and nobody knows who has the right of way. And here you start to see some of the views. We're looking towards the Lehigh Valley on the distant horizon there. That's South Mountain. That's just below Bethlehem, Allentown. That's pretty much the southern border of the Lehigh Valley. Blue Mountain is the northern border. This bridge we're going under, this is the Pennsylvania Turnpike. This is actually the second time we've crossed it on this trip. We went over it on a bridge closer to Slatington, but it wasn't anything noteworthy to point out on camera. This farm up here, I'm pretty sure this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. I forget the name of it. I guess it's open, looking at the parking lot. They got a little grocery store there with farm-made products, and they've got ice cream that is just so good. I really should be stopping to get some ice cream instead of talking to you guys, but I'm still shying away from going into stores when I don't have to. A little footnote there, this is crazy. My last trip into a Wawa was on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. I don't think I've gone this long without being inside a Wawa since I was a kid. They're open. I think they are closing for an hour or two in the middle of the night for cleaning and disinfecting. Almost every Wawa is normally 24 hours. They're still open. I mean, I shouldn't say I haven't been to a Wawa. I've been to Wawas, but only to get gas. I haven't been inside for food or merchandise. I just say that's been hard on me. I really love some of their food. particularly their breakfast stuff. My breakfasts at home just have not been anywhere near as satisfying. Look at this, guys. If you can read this sign, if you turn right, it goes to Egypt. We're going to Egypt, 3 miles up the road. How do you like that? Don't hang around waiting for any pyramids, though. You're not going to see them. Not from this Egypt. It's a really cool fifth wheel there for sale. I don't think this truck. Well, I know this truck couldn't pull that thing. That's for damn sure. That's a really big one. That's nice. That's the kind of thing I dream of owning. So where was I? I was talking about my side business. The good news for me is I'm going to be working on the side, working from home, making money. If something does happen to my day job, at least it's going to give me something to kind of tide me over. And honestly, guys, I think if I lose the day job, I'm just going to try to scale this business up to full-time. A couple of years ago, I had high hopes of doing that, and it just didn't work out for a variety of reasons I don't want to get into. But I think if something happens with the day job, I'm just going to go for it and try to make it happen this time. The only reason, if you ask why don't I do that anyway, well, it's just so many hours in the day. I could do this side work all I want in addition to my day job, and there just is not enough time to put in enough work to get it to that breakaway velocity, so to speak. We're entering Egypt. This is certainly not as exciting as the country of Egypt, obviously. That's somewhere I'd love to go, by the way. I've never been there. I've always wanted to see the pyramids. That's a bucket list item for me. That is not happening anytime soon, obviously. What else do I have on my list? Okay, in addition to working a day job, working at my side business, I'm doing my Photoshop class. Somehow, I don't know how I find time to drive around and do videos, but I do. This is a hobby for me. I enjoy this, so, and I hope you guys too. I think at least a couple of you out there enjoy this. Actually, this is Egypt up ahead. I think I spoke prematurely when I said we were getting to Egypt. Beautiful views. It's just such a gorgeous day. And I'll say one more thing. I know I keep getting off topic. I really have noticed the air pollution levels being down. I mean, this is generally a pretty clean part of the country. And I will say I never kind of noticed the little bit of haze and smog we had until it was gone. All of these vistas that I'm cresting, I can just see so much more detail on the horizon than I've ever seen before. It's so much clearer. It's almost like the real world went from high definition to 4K. Got Egypt Mall off to the left. Pizza Village is open. Got a lot of houses off to the right. If you drive off to the right, there's another really cool trail, the Ironton Rail Trail. I did take a short walk on that last weekend. No video or anything to go with it. It wasn't one of my more exciting outings, but it was a little breath of fresh air when I needed it desperately. This is Egypt we're going through. Neat little town. I had actually looked at a house here when I was looking to move to the area. Unfortunately, it was one of those houses that looked really good in the real estate ad, and the minute the realtor pulled up, I was like, and walked through it and looked at it anyway, and it just kept getting worse. So I almost moved to Egypt. I did not move to Egypt. So anyway, I'm still doing my Photoshop class. The good news is that teacher kind of opened up. It's an online class. He opened the whole thing on day one. I've actually been able to work ahead on that, which is nice. Which, lets me, if I have to take a little break from that to get going on the side work, I can. As for what's coming up this summer, I'm not making plans anymore at this point because we just don't know. We could be in the red or yellow zone all summer, or hey, this thing could dissipate and we could be back to green in a month. I doubt it, but just nobody knows right now. So I'm not making any plans. I still have my tickets for the Rob Zombie concert on August 2nd. That's part of a bigger festival called Music Fest, which is a really big deal in the Lehigh Valley. I usually steer way clear of it because it's just way too hot. in August and way too crowded, but hey, Rob Zombie's playing there. I'm going. If they have the festival, they haven't announced yet. You know, they're going to try to hold it. They were in the news last week where, you know, they said they're weighing different options for holding it, possibly postponing it, but nothing definitive. They're waiting for more information like the rest of us. As for sports, the Phantom season has not been officially canceled, but I gotta believe even if they resume play, they'll be doing it in an empty arena. So as far as I'm concerned, the Phantoms, that's over for the year. I doubt I'll be going to the Iron Pigs. That's our baseball team. I'll just be staying local. I'm not gonna plan any trips right now. If we get beautiful weekends like this and I feel like getting in the truck and going somewhere out in nature, hitting the trails, that's probably what I'm going to do. Probably be a little bit limited in range because if, you know, I'm not going to drive 2-3 hours to a part of a trail to find out I can't use a restroom there. I mean, you can kind of do the math on that. I won't get into detail. So it's, you know, it's kind of a year we're just going to wing it, and that's unusual for me. You know, I tend to schedule my life almost to the minute, which is not really good. I mean, it's a good thing in terms of it lets me get a lot of things done. A lot of people are like, how do you get so much done? That's how. But it also makes me a little crazy and stressed out too. I'm going to take another detour that I didn't plan to. This is 329. If I go straight, we go to the Truss Bridge. If I turn to the right, we get an awesome view of the Lehigh Valley, and I want you guys to take this in. You can see downtown Allentown straight ahead. Bethlehem would be to the east, which is left. There's a quarry off to the right. I just love this view, and this is what I mean. I don't think the camera is going to show it, but the amount of detail that I could see with my own eyes looking towards downtown Allentown, which is about, as the crow flies, 8 to 10 miles from the top of that hill. I don't know the exact measurement, 8 to 10 miles. I've driven this road hundreds, maybe thousands of times in my life, and I have never seen that city with the clarity that I'm seeing it now. It's just really something, and I gotta tell you, it's you know, I've been kind of lukewarm on the idea of electric cars, but just seeing these vistas with people doing less driving and less everything, I gotta tell you, I think we should all get electric cars tomorrow if that was possible. I understand that it's not. But man, makes me really actually start to look forward to that world. I don't know the name of this road. It's another road I've driven a million times. I don't know the name. Sheets is off to the left. That's a competitor to Wawa. There's a million Wawas in this area. There's only 3 Sheets that I know of in the Lehigh Valley. I could think of one more out towards Cookstown. Sheets tends to be more of a western, and I should say a central to western PA thing. Whatever the name of this road is, actually you're going to see something cool when I come out to the end of it. But off to my right is part of the Ironton Rail Trail. That's actually a really good trail. Actually, you guys did see a little part of it. I did walk that trail when I did that. I had a couple videos over the winter where I went to check out that new bridge and where I had that surprise encounter with the fox. That was on the Ironton Trail, a little bit further up the road. Alright, you guys know me well. What do you see on the horizon here that you think excites Jamie? Take one guess. Something to do with that bright red caboose, maybe? The Ironton Rail Trail, as the name implies, it used to be a railroad. A lot of our trails here used to be railroads. Much of the D&L Trail used to be a railroad. That trail, the D&L is a combination of a rail trail and, you know, a filled-in portion of the canal, and part of it actually still has the canal, and you're riding on the towpath. The Ironton Trail is kind of a combination of part railroad, and then I think part of it they just made up, I think. There's a really cool point on the south part of the loop in Coplay that used to be a freight yard. I'll have to do some good videos on that trail because there's a lot of railroad memorabilia on that trail. There's that caboose. I always stop to take pictures of the caboose. There's a little pump car off to one end of the spur. They've used like rail car wheels to make like the sides of benches. You know, they have just trucks from rail cars just sitting on a set of rails. Just all kind of cool stuff. I mean, I get a real kick out of that. You know, you get your ride or your walk in nature, and you get railroad stuff all at the same time. I mean, what's not to like? That's my world. That's what makes me happy. So, all right, what's the name of this road here? Coplay Road. Another road that I know these roads. I don't always know the names of them. I come out this way. I actually have a friend out this way, so I come out here kind of frequently, but I don't know the name of the road unless I look at the signs. So yeah, okay, I've only gotten off topic about 50,000 times here. Hope you weren't counting. I wasn't. Moral of the story, I'm, as ever, pandemic or not, I'm still pretty busy with life. I have a couple edited videos in the queue. Other than doing these 3 videos this weekend, it's probably going to be a while till I do some more editing again, so I'm going to kind of throttle back the pace of doling out the videos that I have in my stash, just because I think particularly these next 2 weeks are going to be really busy with this new side project. Should anything happen with my day job, if I lose that, well, that's a game changer in a different direction. I guess you'll be able to tell by the frequency of my videos if I'm employed or not. We've just passed over a bridge for a quarry. There's a cement plant off to my right here. Part of it's up ahead. You've probably seen that in some of my other videos before. But I guess the timing on this is pretty good. I actually had a list of things I wanted to talk about, and I've run out of things to talk about. Crazy, right? Whoever thought that would happen? We're looking into the town of Cementon here. If you head, we're pointed north right now. This intersection. This is Main Street. This is 329. So we're basically reconnecting where we would have been about 5 minutes ago had I just gone straight. The truss bridge is right ahead, and what a perfect place to end the video. I never get tired of driving over this bridge. I love this bridge. This bridge is going to be gone in a couple of years. They're going to build a new one, I believe, off to the right. I know they're going to build it in parallel. I believe it's to the right. Could be to the left. I could be wrong, but let's just enjoy it for now, and thank you for riding along with me. Hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, and thank you for watching.